If any man shall add unto these
you
things.
preachers that's trying to water down the reality of God.
That's right.
Think because you're rich,
That's right.
you're going to get away with ignoring what God says?
Religious leader Gino Jennings confronts T.D. Jakes head-on, using his audacious preaching style to confront the bishop about things like having sex with men. Jennings doesn't hold back when he criticizes Jakes for his friendship with P. Diddy and his attendance at the parties hosted by the music moguls. You know, the top story that sent shockwaves through our community. He displays purported pictures of T.D. Jakes attending Puff Daddy's party, suggesting that he disapproves of the bishop's attendance during provocative dancing and is aware of what goes on at Diddy's parties. Spirituality is definitely out of the question. Jennings has been preaching with great fervor lately. He emphasizes an absolute dedication to God, framing it as a choice between heaven and damnation, following God's will or not.
Just are more concerned of being celebrities. So therefore, they try their best to blend in with the sinner.
Jakes, who was apparently offended by Jennings' sermonizing, responded by sending Jennings an email in which he expressed his displeasure and alluded to the grave implications of his behavior. It seems like Bishop is traveling at dubious expense in order to save his reputation. According to insiders, he made a suggestion that he would ask regulators to stop Jennings' show. In a daring step, Jennings responds by inviting Jakes to a public debate with the intention of candidly discussing their disagreements.
You cannot say you're saved and you're making music with rappers and entertainers.
Speaking to his congregation, Jake brushes off charges that he is involved in pointless activities. While admitting his flaws, he emphasizes the need of moving on and not getting caught up in unfounded reports. He said, "I didn't come to convince you or anybody because I know who I am," implying that he didn't even think others were deserving of an explanation. That is not the point of this. You are free to consider any topic you choose. But now we see Jennings and Jakes getting more and more tense. It draws attention to an ideological conflict that is heightened by their disparate methods of public speaking and preaching. Given how it casts doubt on Jake's morality, religion, and covert operations behind the scenes, it appears that Jennings feels Jakes had no business attending Diddy's parties. There is a lot of conjecture, with tales of covert plans and efforts to silence Jennings due to his controversial views abounding. If Diddy is involved, it's nothing new, and it appears like Pastor is facing serious consequences for coming out. You all lack knowledge of the industry and the subject matter of your conversations. It will therefore be a teaching moment. The public is eagerly awaiting the scheduled public discussion in the hopes that it will clarify the underlying views and the developing dispute, even if both pastors remain steadfast in their opinions. As the story progresses, it appears that yet another well-known person is on the verge of total discredit from the public. With every exchange, the drama intensifies, piquing public curiosity and encouraging examination of the deeds and morals of these well-known people. The altercation transcends beyond a dispute between individuals and their own viewpoints. It turns into a platform for opposing beliefs and a return to morality. They become visible to the sinner because the so-called searcher is now overly preoccupied with their appearance. Even then, there are still many who claim that these kinds of tales are just young people's idle chatter from people who are too young to understand. It appears like Jake is confident in his level of protection and isn't even concerned about the possibility of being discovered. The worst that could happen, if all was true, is that I would have to really and deeply repent. The blood has sufficient power to atone for all sins. I don't have to feel guilty about this. The blood would make it right. On December 18, a video from Tough News TV sparked rumors that said Jake was seeing Diddy out and about, having same-gender relationships, and acting inappropriately. Speaking passionately to his church, Jake stressed that he would preach the truth rather than stand up for lies.
Because the so-called churchgoer is now too concerned how he and she look. Thank God in the eyes of the sinner.
I don't care what you think. You may think whatever you want. To accomplish my work, I came. Jake maintained his conviction that he had nothing to conceal in spite of the scrutiny, stressing this to his church and abstaining from using his platform to support lies. However, it seems that this kind of action just made people more suspicious. It's not unusual at all to avoid confronting sin when you're living in it, as someone once said. Furthermore, a user commented, "It's very evident that Bishop Jakes isn't disputing any of the accusations that he interacted with men of the same gender and minors. All he's saying is that he won't respond to criticism of him from the pulpit." Unfortunately, there were terrible rumors circulating on social media about Jake's alleged attendance at Diddy's gatherings. His PR staff vigorously refuted these claims as untrue in an effort to preserve the pastor's positive reputation and divert attention away from this rapidly spreading crisis.
I want to pray for everybody in this church and everybody online who thought I got more on my shoulders than I can handle.
T.D. Jakes' reputation as a religious leader may suffer greatly if these accusations against him were made public. It has the potential to erode moral authority and shatter trust in these leaders. In particular, with all of the lawsuits he's currently facing, Diddy is not the ideal person to be linked with right now. Should additional information on T.D. Jakes be revealed, members of the congregation may become discouraged and lose trust in the organization and its principles. Bishop is the only one whose life is in jeopardy, and Jennings, a religious figure himself, is aware of the possible consequences of impending storms. He thinks that B. Draggle's image as a religious leader who socializes with celebrities will eventually catch up with those transgressors. No servant of God has ever been sent to hang out with you. These occurrences also affect how the general public views religion, reaching beyond the confines of the particular congregation. Claims made against religious authorities have the power to strengthen prejudices and increase public mistrust of organized religion. A permanent stain on the reputation of religious groups could result from this breakdown of confidence, which could also cause a decline in religious engagement and a reluctance to interact with spiritual or religious communities. The victims of the alleged wrongdoing will probably struggle with psychological and emotional distress, betrayed and disillusioned, and even greater issues with trust in society. Bishop became excited as he looked at him. Of course, that is not for the people of God. The credibility of victim accounts is harmed when religious authorities mishandle or conceal these accusations, fostering a culture of concealment. In addition to the psychological costs, these kinds of incidents also have a negative financial impact on Jake's enterprises. It makes sense that his staff is working extra hard to divert public attention by releasing their denial statements in response to recent, categorically untrue, and unfounded allegations regarding Bishop T.D. Jakes that have been making the rounds on social media. Reduced enrollment, declining donations, and legal issues could put a burden on the institution's finances and threaten its long-term viability. Should Diddy be judged responsible for his misbehavior, he might face legal repercussions, such as jail time. The majority of the accusations are horrifying, and Sean Diddy isn't the only one if you add everything. The claims made against Diddy and Jakes have significant, far-reaching ramifications. Should it turn out that T.D. Jakes was indeed involved in the activities for which he is being investigated, it will spark yet another major controversy, one that goes beyond chatter from Tinseltown. We are all aware of how bizarre Diddy's parties can get. Furthermore, numerous victims and witnesses have already mentioned the unsettling aspect of these get-togethers, suggesting that they are full of immoral acts. Recall how 50 Cent said, "Look, if you into that, I'm fine with it," expressing his anxiety of ever entering Diddy's party. I'm just saying, to each his own, that this isn't my mother effing kind of party. It's not comfy. Now, the debate is complicated by the revelations provided to us by Gino Jennings and T.D. Jakes' ill-advised response, which suggested that speaking up would have consequences. Jakes appears to be quite close to the music magnate, as evidenced by the way he handles anyone who dared to disagree with him. You know, none of those gnats truly has the ability to touch me. Ultimately, you all see and understand what it is. Potential new members are discouraged from entering the religious community due to the tainted reputation of leaders such as Jake's. More information about Bishop's actions at these notorious parties may also soon surface from victims of his own alleged misbehavior, such as the P. Diddy case. Inequalities in power within society can impede the revelation of victims, and religious authorities' mishandling or covering up of incidents can prolong concealment and damage their reputation. Jake's organizations will suffer financially as a result of decreased support and attendance, stretched resources, changes to his lifestyle, and, of course, a loss of respect. You do really possess a malevolent heart. Malevolent heart. You can't call yourself a Christian if you have a wicked heart at any point. Furthermore, it might have a detrimental effect on all those connected to Diddy if he is found guilty of wrongdoing and faces legal repercussions, including possible jail time. Thus, it makes sense that TD Jake's crew is making every effort to refute the horrifying accusations. Nothing is more that people desire from institutions than ethical behavior, accountability, and transparency. Naturally, religion is where it all begins. One guide made the observation that puff parties are notorious for being wicked. If Jake wasn't ministering and offering wise advice, he had no business being around Puff. Another user said, "These people need to be held accountable, and other preachers have the authority to confront them about their dubious actions." Fortunately, there are still morally upright individuals that don't stray from their actions. Fortunately, there are still morally upright people out there who are prepared to battle against all that is wicked and immoral and who do not stray from God's way.